grow my business. Completely different realm.
Where I feel like
all
a blue
different
belt.
arena. So you have to start finding other mentors and asking different questions from the guys that you already were going in the meetings with.
Sure.
Now it's not just installation questions. Now it's like, well, how do you run your sales team? How are you doing marketing?
They think you're this huge, large organization.
Yeah.
Until they
Well-
get to know you and talk to you, and it's a family-run business with 2 brothers, your sister, and some very key people. They think it's this huge conglomerate, which is great. Every time we do it, someone goes, oh, gosh, I didn't do that right. How many times, you guys have probably heard this a million times, what would you do if this was your house, right? They'll ask you, and you're the professional.
Yeah.
So your recommendation is probably gonna take 9 out of 10 times?
The video is literally him saying go, and then it's literally me wetting my window and then snapping my film down. It went, I think, about 500,000 within the first 24 hours, and then from there it just caught fire. And now it's up at the point where it's at like 11.7 million views. A lot of the comments are like pretty much, I thought the plastic went on the inside.
You guys got in this business with these family. I was force-fed, and then decided I love this thing.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. Excited for another episode with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have a very special guest with us, Rob Garlo. We had an amazing conversation, kind of all over the board about what's kind of going on in the industry right now, content creation. Check it out.
It's definitely about cultivating those relationships, especially getting to that, you want to say, next level,
Right.
Especially with contractors. I'd say that's one conversation that we had with multiple people at Tinter Battles was when it came to commercial jobs, and it's like you got to make the relationships when it comes down to it, like to get and also finding out, talking to some of the big boys there, and like in my eyes, like for some reason when certain people talk to us, like you guys are so, and we're like, nah, we're just trying to get by day by day.
Yeah,
We
you
don't
portrayed yourself as you're bigger and better, man, and that's how people see you, and that's the beauty of all the social media, because that's what I've talked about at Solar Gard is just you can use that format. You don't have to be the biggest and baddest in the industry, but you sure can show people what you can do. And Green Valley looks like this huge organization, right? To the world, rest of the world.
Yeah, it's weird sometimes.
shockingly.
Yeah. It's because I've known for a long time how powerful social media could be, and it's cool to see it playing out now that we're actually producing a lot of quality organic content and then leveraging it properly with ads. The response that we're getting from customers is crazy. Like, I
And
took
in the
my daughter to
industry, too,
work.
right?
Yeah.
Look what people think about Green Valley and industry. You're going to the different. They think you're this huge, large organization.
Yeah.
Until they get to know you and talk to you, and it's
Yeah.
a family-run business with a few core people, 2 brothers, your sister, and some very key people. They think it's this huge conglomerate, which is great. I mean, because then you're talking to the GCs, you're talking to the buildings that are looking for professionalism and a big organization to support them. You do the work, you do the quality work, you deliver. Nobody knows the difference, and it's great. It's a great avenue to get where you want to be.
Oh, it's strange though. It's strange, like talking to people even at Tinter Battles, and them coming up and like, oh, I listen to you guys. I follow your Instagram, and like, and it's like, oh, this is strange. I mean, I'm happy that we're able to start. I'd say, if anything, this is our way of start giving back to the industry, and I mean, obviously, it benefits us in a way of we grow the knowledge of what we do and what you can do with our products. We reap the benefits of customers that are like, I didn't know you could do that. Now we're getting leads from customers that the reason why we got that lead is, well, I saw your clip on Instagram and I didn't know you could do that, so I reached out to you. More than likely, they reached out to us because they now saw that clip. They probably went back to our page, saw the other clips, possibly went to YouTube, saw an episode or two. Before Josh even walks in the door, they already know him. Like the trust, it's already.
Yeah, and they have a perception of you, all right?
Yeah,
already.
It's wild. So I took my daughter with me on a Thursday. It was take your kid to work day, and she's like, I want to go to work with you.
That's
so
cool.
She knew I was doing sales now, and was like, that sounds like it'll actually be fun. Because
actually working at the shop is just a drag.
Well, what was cool is I knew that like my plan was like, all right, cool, you'll come with me. I used to go with my dad on sales calls. It'll be good for you to see the process. And I'm going to have you record our day, and I'm going to turn it into like a little vlog of the day. And I got home that night. I edited I didn't spend but 10 minutes on it. Made a quick little video of our day. Posted it as a reel on the Instagram. The next day's teacher in service, and she's like, "Can I go with you again tomorrow?" Okay, cool. My very first consultation of the day,
Right.
the customer's like, "Oh, is it bring your kid to work day again?" Like the very first thing
They
she
already
says
saw
to
it.
us.
They already
Yeah.
saw your previous
The video I just posted the day before, like the very next bid, I was like, "No, it's teacher in service today, but you're following our Instagram, aren't you?" Like,
Well, there's a whole nother aspect of that because now you're bringing your daughter. You're,
Oh, yeah.
you're perceived as a family man, right?
Yep.
And that level of trust when you go into the consumers because you have your daughter with you and you're showing her the ropes. I think there's more of a connection with the
Oh,
consumer.
yeah.
Because I remember I've
I
had
was-
service people come to repair something, and I remember when my treadmill one time broke down, and the repairman came and he brought his daughter, and his daughter was helping him fix it. And I was like, "Well, that's cool. How are you here today?" "Well, my dad gave me the day off from school, and we're doing some work together." And I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, well, what's funny is that that's been a core of this business from the jump, because that's how I grew up.
That's how you
like
grew
we
up,
were
yeah.
going on jobs. I was 16 years old, get my license that summer. I'm going on residential jobs where like I'm showing up with a buddy from school that's my helper to do the install. Like,
That's
I
cool.
think about it now and I'm like, man, it'd be crazy to send my kids right now on a job on their own.
My dad-
But at least bringing them on is.
He left me on a job when I was 14 years old because he had to go. I think he had to go do an estimate or something. But it was in our neighborhood, and I remember that it was Autumn Bronze. I remember the film. It was Autumn Bronze, and at that point, I was already like I knew how to tint, I knew what I was doing.
yeah.
But I finally looked as if he sold it that. Like they didn't ask if I was 16, but the assumption was like this is my 16-year-old son, and I
You were
just
16.
yeah, and I just did my
For
thing.
all purposes, you were 16.
Yeah, I just did my thing and tint the house. Like I remember being starting that at that age. Like I look forward to bringing my son. Like thankfully my son already loves coming to the shop. Like I've posted a few things of him. Like I'm working on clear bras, and I've had him like Squeegee took little videos, and I posted it. But like I look forward to, I think within the next year or so, he'll have somewhat of the patience to where if I do have to go on a console or if I do have to do a quick window, that I can bring him with me. Because I remember vividly following my dad or going with my dad everywhere on jobs, and that's kind of where they kind of took of me liking the industry, and then eventually it just became like I got old enough where I just wanted to buy stuff. And like I understood at that point, I'd watch like, all right, the concept of if I want to buy something, my dad telling me to come work, and I'll pay you, and then you can buy it, and then it's
do what you want.
yours.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he sold it to me. Well, if it's yours, then we can't take it. But then now, being a parent, like no, they would have if I would have done something, they would have 100% taken it from me. And just then that's my punishment when it comes down to it. So, but at least instilling that in me at such a young age, I'm very, very lucky.
And installing the passion for the business too, because I talk to a lot of folks, and as you know, I hire territory managers, and one of the things I ask them is, tell me about the business, because you either love this business or you don't. There is no middle ground.
I'd agree with
And I'm passionate about it because like I told you guys last night at dinner, the first time I ever picked up a Olfen knife, I said, I am never doing that again. And look at me now. I was like 19. I was 4 when I did it, so so that you do the math. But I'm still here and I love it. It's still, I think it's one of the greatest products that adds value. We problem solve, right?
Yeah.
And your dad installed that passion in probably both of you at some point.
Oh,
And,
for sure.
It's whether it was automotive, you want to look cool or, be cooler in your car, or
Oh,
it's
yeah.
commercial, residential. What's the problem you're solving for your customer? Now it's paint protection film because, how do you protect the front end of your vehicle? And look how far that's come in the last 10 years.
Well, prices of vehicles has definitely helped that market because now all of a sudden you're going
Crazy
to buy
money.
a $50,000-$60,000 vehicle and you're like, oh, I'm going to keep this thing and I want to protect it. And
Absolutely.
that's definitely has made that market has absolutely gone through the roof.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I think one of my favorite things to think about now is it was kind of fun to be the kid at school that could tint everybody's cars. Like,
Super popular work.
yeah, yeah. Everybody at school knew if they wanted to get their car tinted, come to me. Like, that was cool. Like as a teenage kid, like I'm thinking about my kids right now are high school age, and it's like,
I still do that in my own neighborhood. I mean, My next door neighbor gets a new car. He needs his front 2 doors done. I'm good with that. You know, I can handle that. Or he's getting glare in his den and he can't see his TV. He knows he can call me, but I do it also because there's still a lot of people that don't know what our products can do for them.
Oh,
in my own
absolutely.
neighborhood. And I've lived there for 20 years and they've been my neighbors and they're still, what do you do? What do you sell? What do you do? So that's why I still do that stuff for, you know, as just kind of to spread the word.
That, in my mind, that was the main purpose of doing something like this and creating as much organic content as possible. And it's definitely working for us. And what's cool is it's probably helping our competition too. Like,
Yeah.
it's creating
You're
more.
helping the industry.
It's creating
You
more
are.
demand for the industry in this town. Which, if everybody has more work than they can handle, then nobody's gouging each other on
And
prices.
there's plenty of work.
Yeah, and there's
That's-
plenty more to
yes.
create because of that awareness
Exactly.
that isn't there. Like, I still would go on jobs when I was going out installing still, and I'd have customers be like, man, I wish I would have known I could have done this years ago. I didn't know it existed. And it's like, yeah, when you think of customers recently that I've been going on sales calls and they tell me that they didn't even know they could do their house until they saw our Instagram video. It's like, yeah, when you thought of window tint, you just thought of cars, right? Like, yeah, that's all I thought of.
And you guys are in a very hot market. I'm in the Midwest, so I'm in Michigan. We get our 3 or 4 months of really hot weather, so I really have to sell our products to increase awareness. But I was just telling my wife the other day, I see more homes and cars being tinted in the last couple of years in the Detroit market than I've seen probably the whole time I've been in this business. So the awareness is growing.
Oh, you're in Detroit?
Yeah, yeah.
So that actually, I think he might have the strongest, biggest audience of any window tinter out there on YouTube is Detroit Tint Studio.
Yeah, I've seen their.
What's cool
seen
is
their
over the
stuff.
last couple of years, I've seen that
Yep.
kid's what's his name?
I don't know.
So
I've
bad.
seen the.
But I've
video.
watched him over the last couple of years and been like, man, we got to do what this guy's doing, and he just like
Well, we're car
straight built a
enthusiasts.
YouTube empire in window tint. Like, he gets a lot of views on his videos. And he just like started out of his garage, and you could see if you go back into his content, like how much now he's got like a really nice setup. And anybody
Well,
thinks
if you live in Detroit, you've lived there more than 10 or 15, you are connected to the automotive industry some way, form, or fashion. I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your dad, your mom. Someone's in that. So you get a lot of car enthusiasts, and we really like our cars to look good.
Yeah.
So that whole paint protection market is growing in Detroit. 20 years ago, I had to literally explain to the car wash guy what that line across my hood was. He thought it was a scratch, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's like, I don't know how many times I turned and he starts picking at it. I said, stop, stop. It's there for a reason. Let me tell you what it does. But now it's very well known. And the window film as well. So, yeah, we like our stuff to look cool in Detroit. We do. And we like to protect it.
Paint protection is an interesting one because you just said 20 years, and I thought about it, and it's like, yeah, I actually learned how to do paint protection 20 years ago. That's insane. But like that you can see
I
if you go to
that cardboard.
if you go to Google Trends and search the word PPF or paint protection, and you look at it on like the 10-year or the 5-year window, it's just like an up and to the right chart. Like compared to tint, has kind of leveled off a little bit because a lot of the awareness is there, especially people searching for cars. But like, yeah, that has been a huge growth in the industry.
The scary leap for paint protection, though, and it's the same problem I think we have in every area of our industry is labor, is installation, and then and also like picking up paint protection. Yes, they're very similar, tinting and paint protection, but paint protection takes you like a auto tinter. I think if you go to like a you go to Academy, like go to Modesto, go actually I think it's 4 days.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's four.
forever,
It's 4
yeah.
days, but with at least with
California
auto,
Tint
you
Academy.
can leave that with a pretty strong sense of what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and if not, you'll be able to do majority of. You'll be able to tint. You'll 100% get to a point of being able to tint. Now, depending on your make, model, and stuff like that, to perfect those vehicles, it just becomes you have to get the reps in to understand the window change and curvatures and stuff like that, and that's just then you're at a point where you gotta get the reps in. You just gotta
repetition.
you gotta do it over and over again. Paint protection, same thing, but every person I've talked to, I'd say at WFCT or say like even like at Tinter Battles this past year, I've asked them like how long do you think like to get someone trained up in paint protection, and like the majority of what I get is like someone to get them to the point of doing like say two full front ends by themselves, clean without having me watched over, looked at anything. You're looking at about 2-year investment. it definitely takes a little bit more time to get to the point where you can leave that person by themselves. Now, if you're going to have a seasoned installer right next to them and they're doing it together, that you can get that person up
You
and
shorten that
going
learning curve.
real
Yeah,
quick, but that
absolutely.
you have to have the seasoned guy on the car at the same time. Like when we converted our graphics guy into paint protection, I was giving the helping hand and helping him install majority of the bras for like the first 6 to 8 months. But they were going really fast. He knew the basics, he knew what we were doing, and I didn't have to sit there and explain, hey, I need you to do this because of this, this, and this. I would say, hey, just do that, and then he already had that knowledge committed to where he would do it and it would work out. And now he's finally at a point where he finally had that aha moment, which you mentioned, I think you mentioned last night when it came to like tinting, having an aha
Oh, yeah,
moment
you
when it
get
comes
that.
to cutting or doing
Like
something.
the light goes on, right?
Yeah.
You get it. All of a sudden, just the light comes down from the sky, and you go, "Oh, I got it."
Yeah,
Oh.
it's so.
And it's the
fu-
same
it-
thing with PPF, window film, even architectural. The little tips. and-
cutting.
Yeah, exactly.
The-
The small things.
I remember, I know that, I wish I remembered what years, but I've had those moments for like shrinking windows, back windows. Like when I was probably about 3 to 4 years into being an installer, I didn't really understand it. I mean, like I understood it, but like for some reason, like something wasn't clicking into where it's like I knew what needed to be done.
Right.
And then I eventually had that moment where all of a sudden it's like I didn't care what window you put in front of me, I'm gonna be able to shrink the film
Yeah.
to it.
Totally confident you can handle it.
Yeah, and then even when it came to cutting on flat glass, like cutting and also manipulating your blade to where if I need to fan my blade out a little bit, I need a little bit wider cut, or I can actually put this right against it. Beautiful, clean 1-inch vinyl window. Like I can make this gap
No
disappear.
worries. Yeah.
And just understanding the subtle tweaks of your blade and the small little muscles that you eventually build up, and then all of a sudden it could just clicked one day while I was cutting. I was just like, oh, I wish I would have just understood that for like the past, like year or so. It made life a lot easier.
Well, first time I went through real architectural training with Miguel Dietrich, right? And Miguel's a seasoned guy.
Oh yeah.
And he would show me little tips, and I'd go, oh, you gotta be kidding me. That was so easy, and I've been doing it wrong for so long. And it was just little,
It's so funny.
little things, too, that make your job so much easier and your install so much better.
Oh yeah. That was probably the coolest thing about Tinder Battles, I'd say, is the fact that we were lucky enough to be trainers there. And then we just kind of started off, and they were just like, just start installing, grab some film, start putting it up. So we were doing a window, and all of a sudden you have like 2 or 3 guys behind you that are looking, and then I'd cut my corners out and do my thing, and I got down there, they'd be like, all right, what'd you do there? Explain that to me. And then you
And
sit
their
there,
eyes are this big. They're like going,
and like you show them one simple little thing, and like all of a sudden they do it once, and they push the film in, and it's just like they're like, oh my god, like okay, I get it now. Like, and then you
a
sit
lightning
there,
moment, right?
yeah, and then you give them some film, and let them sit there and try it, and like okay, now try this, and then it's like all of a sudden it clicks. Even like drop rolling,
Yeah.
like when people saw me like just drop rolling film, like they're like, oh, what'd you do there? I'm like, well, you can do this with like any film besides
Well,
Frost.
not any film.
Yes, you can. Besides Frost.
Well, there's certain brands of film that don't drop roll. You can still roll it down, but sometimes it doesn't drop.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree.
Agree to
Well,
disagree.
There's a difference from brand to brand.
There is.
There is a-
No, there definitely is. But it just comes down to, in my eyes, how much film you got to pull out, how tight you have to roll it itself, how hard you're going to using the weight of the film. Even some films that people say, oh, it can't be dropped.
A
Bull.
2x3 night vision. Are you gonna get that to pop?
2 foot by 3 foot.
Yeah.
Why would you?
2 feet tall.
Why would you drop roll? You just
That's
peel that
what
in
I'm
your
saying,
hands.
but it's not. That's because it's not going to. But I could do that with a 2 foot by 3 piece of slate. It'll drop easy. Drop.
I still could get that vision to drop. I
My
wouldn't
point
though
is
because
there's
I
a
could literally
difference
I
how
could-
the adhesive connects to the
Yes,
liner.
so
Everybody has their
Agreed.
adhesive
So-
mix.
And like I said,
Exactly.
it's going to come down to then how far you pull your film out. How like when you first get started, like almost all slate I can do like 3 inches, and it just
Boom.
drops. Other films I go out like 18 or 24 inches. Let me say if it's a 6 foot tall window, there is a certain distance. Yes, you got to
Yeah.
go out, but as soon as you get it wet, roll it back up. As long as you use the weight of the film, keep your tension straight all the way across.
Rolled tight.
Yeah, well, that's usually where everyone messes up, is not keeping the
And
tension.
I assume you demonstrated that at
Oh, yeah.
Tint Belt. Did you see the looks on probably the faces of the folks that saw that for the? I remember
Well-
when I saw it for the first time, I went,
Well,
Well, that would be a lot easier than Frankensteining it up there and trying to get it up clean, which is how I did my house before I was taught that.
I remember holding pieces of film from
Oh
my
yeah,
dad.
I got
And
strong
him peeling it.
shoulders from standing on ladders and holding sliding glass doors.
Really
for my
good
dad.
balance, too.
And he'd have me
Yes.
start holding it like while he's still cleaning the window.
Like he just pre-cut it. He's like, now he's got to squeegee it,
Yeah.
wipe that, do the whole thing. And my dad was
absolutely.
not the fastest installer.
Yeah, it
by
came out
any
perfect.
means.
But
It came out, a lot of shoulder workouts. But no, like you're talking about people's reaction to seeing drop roll. I mean, technically, we're seeing a huge reaction right now in the fact that because of Tinder battles, because of that, the content that of what the vision, I should say, the vision of what Carlos has had since the inception of it, which was in I believe 2020. He just posted a video of me installing, I think it was about a week ago, and it's me competing in one of the rounds, and like they say go, and like we already have the film. My film's already peeled back. We were able to peel back the film and get it ready just to drop. And everything's squeegee ready to go. So the video is literally him saying go, and then it's literally me wetting my window and then snapping my film down. The comments that video has gotten, because it went, I think about 500,000 within the first 24 hours, and then from there it just caught fire. And now it's up at the point where it's at like 11.7 million views, and a lot of the comments are like pretty much, I thought the plastic went on the inside. Because all they see me doing is just stepping up on the ladder, dropping the film, and then all of a sudden the plastic's coming off the backside. And it's like, no. And I got it. I've tried to engage as much as possible, but now it's up to like, I think like 900 comments where it's like, I can devote like 20 minutes to try to see the person who's actually asking an earnest question, and I'm like, all right, let me respond. And then I even like, which he'll attest to, like out of my comfort zone, like one guy was still kind of confused by it. I was like, hey man, I'm heading down to my shop right now. I'll make a quick video real quick. So I went to my shop, made a quick video, like just, hey, this is what this is how it's gonna be done. Posted it, and then anytime I see that question now, I just take the link from our page, and I post it, because I mean, the biggest thing I wanna do is I wanna drive everyone back to my page.
Sure.
Like just like, go right here. I want to devote all this traffic back to there.
But you're also doing the industry a solid, right? So you see these industry events now. Remember, a lot of times they were about egos and competitions. That's changing. It's more of a sharing of information to improve the industry as a whole, and share information to increase awareness of what we do and how we solve problems for people.
Yep.
And the other thing that you're doing, and I don't know if you know you're doing it, but we need a younger generation to come up in this business. We need the next round, right? So you guys are pretty young. I look at you as the next generation, but there's going to be the set behind you. You're getting those folks ready, those kids that are watching this, to say, hey, I could do this. This could be a good living.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other awesome thing about Tinder battles is like the state of the industry. I'm not worried at all. Like growing up in it, it was very, I wouldn't say cutthroat, but it was very ego driven.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you what I'm doing because you might take my work.
This is mine.
Exactly.
This is mine. Yeah, I'm not showing you.
And now with Tint Wiz, the Eric coming around, and like how that guy has set the standard of like, no, just what do you want here, and just give, and like all he's doing is propping up and like, no, share, like bringing the industry together. And then you have Carlos steps in, he starts making all this content, which at first seemed really wacky. Like I definitely had a different perception on it when it first began, and then like it's like after the first 2 years, I'm like, oh, he's almost taking this too far. And then finally actually getting to know him and meet him, have a conversation with him, and then actually going to one of his events, I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Like you just, content is king right now. Like
He was doing it in a very fun, entertaining way.
Make it entertaining.
Well,
is
that's
his
the
whole
only
thing.
way. That's how you're going to get people to watch.
That's the world we live in, right?
Yep.
You were talking about videos and how long people will watch them,
Yep.
when they'll click away.
Yep.
You got to entertain at some level to keep the world's attention these days.
Oh, and he has, in my eyes, he is mastering that beautifully. Like these only put out a small percentage of what content he has from that event, and technically Facebook, he's now up over 30 million views on 2 videos. Like it's and being shared everywhere. Like if you go into the shares, you can see the multiple languages. Like I'm going through hitting translate. I'm reading all the stuff, and like some of those too, I'm replying to them.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how it's coming out on their end, but yeah, no, it's seeing where the industry is going is absolutely amazing. But like getting back to the younger generation below us. Well, we met a kid from, I say kid, he's 21 years old. He's from Tennessee. I'm not mistaken, his name's Nathan. Me and him have actually been messaging back and forth too. He's already has one shop. He's opening his second shop. Dude's 21 doing
21
that.
years
And
old.
like, yes, I had success in my early 20s, but I was an installer for an already established company like that my dad had built up, and we had, like, I already had something that like handed to me, but like I already had something built for me. Like I didn't have to go through that pain of starting something up by myself, which in the long run, I think eventually I probably will be a little jealous of majority of people that do that.
Yeah.
Say that like that's one thing I never got to do, but at the same time, I got to grow up in the industry, mold with
But you
the
had
industry.
a mentor with your dad.
Yeah.
And that's what Nathan, the 21-year-old, is looking to you now as to be the mentor. Or Josh, they're looking for advice, right? Because what are they going to do? They're going to trial and error, right?
Yeah.
So if you can save them one of those errors to make them more successful, that's good for the industry. Because if they put out bad work, what does that do?
Oh, that's
That
Oh,
gives
yeah.
all of us a bad reputation, and the industry and the product as a whole. And it's not. But it's got to be good quality work, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. So
sure.
mentor those young guys.
And making sure that you're putting the right film on the right windows,
yes.
those kinds
product
of things.
placement. No, absolutely. Instead of just going in and like, I never, because before we got the Glass Check Pro, I always went around. My dad always stuck to certain types of films, and then actually looking at the what is safe to put on dual pane windows. If you look at the chart, the only films that we sold were green across the board. Didn't matter what window you're putting it on.
Right.
You're good to go. You didn't have to check the glass. But now with how advanced glass is getting,
Absolutely.
like you could be technically selling your customer on a product that isn't really doing anything for them. Like unfortunately, like the windows right now that like completely wipe out one of the best films, Highlight, is you get a triple low E coating on Surface 2. Like as soon as I went into, I had to do sales at the beginning of last year. Our salesperson went down. She didn't go down. She had her baby, so she was out for maternity leave. So I stepped into sales, and as I was using the meter, like Miguel was always instantly right there if I needed help or anything. I would just send him a text of a picture of the glass check, like, what can I put on here? Customer wants light in, but he wants heat rejection. He goes, that window's already pretty much doing all the IR work. If you put highlight on there, if you're putting 70, you're not really doing anything for him. You're just charging him. Like you can go to 40, but biggest thing right now is you need to take visible light off that window. So I went to my customer and explained to him what was going on and told him like I could sell you this one, but it's what we're looking for right now is pulling light off the window if we're gonna go for interior install. So I mean, if you want to stay as light as possible and do something, slate 40. And able to pitch him a product instead of going in there without knowing what the windows are and saying, well, here's my flagship product. Like it's clear, it blocks all the heat, and like I'm not lying, but at the same time, I don't know what I'm installing on. And because I don't know that, I am now selling you something that is going to do a fraction, teensy bit of what it's supposed to do. And it's only because I didn't understand what kind of glass I was going on.
But look at the credibility you just established in Green Valley and that customer. You could have put exactly what you wanted on there, and would they have known the difference? Not until they started to feel there was no difference, right? And then what does that say?
I've actually had 2 projects exactly like that in the last week, or 2 weeks. One was like a commercial building, and it actually had a hard coat on Surface 3. And it's like, okay. So it's like, all right, we're going exterior.
Well,
like,
our glass technology is behind what it is in the European community, right?
yeah.
So one of their number one selling products in that community, what do you think it is? It's outside weatherable films.
Yep.
And our market will move that way.
Yeah, it's moving that way here just because we're checking the glass. Like, check the glass, and all of a sudden, if they do get 2 or 3 more bids and the person doesn't check the glass and then just offers them something on the inside after I've just educated them on what kind of glass they have, who are they going to go with?
Well, and just checking the glass usually separates you from
Yeah.
quite a few of your competitors
Yeah.
because, well, what are you doing? What is that?
Yeah.
What's that meter thing you got?
Totally
Explain
worth
to
it.
them, right? Explain
Yeah.
exactly what it is. And I'm still amazed. I have to admit the amount of customers we work with that won't invest in some type of a meter or a tool.
Oh, it instantly
'Cause
separates
it's
you.
expensive, right?
I mean, the one commercial job, just the other, I would have offered them slate on the interior,
Right.
but I tested the glass, and they had already had somebody tint one room that they said that the room was actually hotter than all the other rooms, and it's
Windows
like,
are on
well,
fire.
yeah, you made it worse, not
Yeah.
better.
You
So we need to
actually had
immediately
what was going
we
on
need to
here.
remove that, and we need to go exterior.
Right.
And you know, all of a sudden, now it's actually an easier project to install because we don't have to move a bunch of
Move it, yeah.
cubicles, take blinds down. Like
As long as
we
it's
just
not
need
like
to,
today,
we just
you're
need to
all
get a
set,
lift.
right?
Yeah, no wind. That's the only downfall of the exterior, which. That's a whole other story, but that's the only big downfall in my mind, especially on commercial jobs.
And
If
you
we
can't
don't,
control the weather, so
Yeah.
you just work.
Yeah.
You work with it, right?
but
You
it
do what
does
you can
give
do
us
what
some
you can.
flexibility on ability to go and install it early in the morning,
Yeah,
or you know,
absolutely.
like they don't have to open the building
Looks like
up.
it's going to get a little windy this
Yeah.
afternoon. Can we come in early and get this project started and
Yeah.
get it done before noon?
So
Before the
there-
weather
there-
changes on us.
I think you can find just as many positives
Oh,
as
yeah,
downfalls, and
absolutely.
especially on commercial. You're going
Especially
from a
commercial.
10-year warranty or a 12-year warranty to 7. It's like on a commercial building, they're like, okay, that's fine. You're going to give me 91% heat rejection instead of 76. And now that you told me that 76 isn't even real on my window, yeah, that's the way we got to go.
But it's still, I mean, the education and letting other installing dealers know the value of those tools is paramount. It scares me sometimes for guys that have been doing it 10, 15 years, and I go, so what does your meter say? Well, what meter? I'm using a lighter or something, you know, that is a little antiquated, right? And
Yeah.
I said, that's a little dangerous. I wouldn't do that. Well, it's, you know, so this much money to buy that meter. I go, well, let's look at it this way. What if you put the wrong film in? What happens to that glass if it breaks? How much is that going to cost? Let alone your reputation for future jobs.
Yeah, and the cost of glass right now, that might be one window.
Oh,
The meter might pay for itself with
someday
one window.
that's like a half a window.
Yeah.
Depending on
So-
which window it is, right?
Yeah, so I mean, like the cost, like benefit of it is it's a no-brainer.
So we need to do that as an industry.
It's a
need
no-brainer.
to make sure we're communicating that to our fellow dealers and installers. Like, get the right tools for flat glass, please.
Oh, if you're trying to scale and you want to grow your flat glass, I mean, even if you already have, say, a flourishing auto and you want to get into flat glass, I would 100% you need to invest in the meter, because that, like you said, like already you gotta look at your local competition. If your local competition isn't using it, as long as you know how to use that tool properly,
Exactly.
and all you're doing is educating your customer when it comes down to it, and then
It's a marketing tool for you, too. Look how professional you look compared to the guy that went in there with a pad of paper and said, well, here's the measurement.
well, that's
This
well,
is what I
and
always put up. You'll love this.
that was going to be the second thing is go digital on your proposal. So for TintWiz,
Yeah.
like to me, TintWiz is a must.
Absolutely.
And then when you have that meter, you can go in and have the conversation with the customer. All right, what's the problem? What are you trying to solve here? Privacy, okay, or heat rejection, but you don't want to go dark. All right, well, let's see what kind of windows you have first. And then right there, I can now look at our
Which
whole.
usually follows by, what do you mean what kind of windows I have?
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh. And then and the good thing is too with any of the new homes too, you put the meter on there. You're like, well, a majority of almost all the new glass that's going into Vegas right now is triple OE on surface too. So unfortunately it eliminates like ceramic if you want to technically, if you want to go, obviously you want to go darker than 35, ceramic's gone. You have to, in my eyes, I don't offer anything lighter than 35 or 40 when it is that, because otherwise I'm just selling you nothing.
Nothing.
This
There's no
isn't
value.
Yeah,
right?
it's
There's
not
no
doing
value.
anything for you when it comes down to it. I mean, even when it comes to the UV coating, yes, you're holding out 99.9% of the UV, but now you're not solving the visible light issue, which that's still going to contribute to your fading, and that's a whole another monster by itself. Is explaining them.
So much knowledge.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
like,
so much
oh, I just want to
knowledge.
put a clear UV on. It's like, I can. It's going to slow it down. But if you want to do as much as you possibly can, you have to take light off this window. Like that's what's also causing fading, is your visible light when it comes down to it.
Education is key on the architectural side of things.
Yeah,
It's
and that's
so
where having the
paramount.
digital proposals so nice. We've actually had Cody Becker recently help like update our proposals, and looking at his we were like, yeah, we need your help, man. He's got a chart he's got a whole section of solutions as canned proposals that are for fade protection, where he's got in each different film that he could offer as an option a chart that he custom made that shows the scale of actually how much protection you're going to get based off of each individual film. So you can see the difference of what you're getting from a 70% down to a 40 or a 10.
Once again, sharing
Yeah.
information.
Now
in the
you've
industry,
got that right in your proposal to educate the customer. They see the different options. They know, okay, I don't want to cut out too much light, but I really don't want this painting on the wall to fade. I guess I got to lose a little bit more light than I planned
Right.
on. And now it's like, okay, cool. And you're not overselling something by just because they say that they don't want to lose any light, but their main concern is protecting stuff from fading. Like, I'm sorry, you got to lose a little bit of light.
You let them make that decision.
Yeah.
You give them the information, you give them their choices, and ultimately, they'll, how many times, you guys have probably heard this a million times, what would you do if this was your house, right? They'll ask you, and you're the professional.
Yeah.
So your recommendation is probably going to take 9 out of 10 times. Is that fair?
Yeah, but mine always comes with a caveat. I was like, it depends who you're. Like, I was like, in my house, if it was up to my wife, she'd put slate 10 on every single window. She wants it to be a damn dungeon. For me, it's like as dark as I think we compromised, or I wouldn't necessarily call it compromise because she got her shutters, and then I got to pick what shade film because in my eyes, like if you want it dark, just shut the shutter. I want to be able to open my shutters and actually have some natural light come in. Like I've now enjoy having light come into my house.
Yeah.
You know, so I think I put 35 on. I think I did stainless steel. Yeah, I did 4mm stainless steel security film on the whole house, and then on my big windows I put 50%. Like my big sliders.
Right.
I wanted as much
Compromise
light.
is key. That's how you stay married, my friend.
No. Oh no, like I said, she got her shutters, she got her drapes, so
Right. Absolutely.
compromise.
And my house has a big mismatch. I've got kind of stuff all over the place. I've got older windows that are up high that haven't been replaced. All my other windows are really nice, low-E, like triple pane windows. So like on the back of the house that's south facing, I put DX. And on the front that's north facing doesn't ever get any sun. We had some like scrap rolls of Ecolux that I like pieced on my windows hiding. Like something we would never do for a customer. But that film's so expensive and it works so well.
It's like a
instantly.
quilt. Your house is like a quilt, right?
Yeah.
With windows.
Yeah. Well, you can't tell
tell
that
you're
it's
in the
even on
business.
those because Ecolux is virtually clear, right?
Yeah.
But I knew that those windows, I hadn't replaced those windows yet, and that's gonna do something when they're not getting direct sunlight. So it's like, okay, that's the best thing I could do.
Especially for winter.
And especially they're scrap pieces that we're never gonna use of a film that's almost $9 a square foot. It's
I haven't checked recently.
I got two shades.
Yeah.
Even in Michigan, I get the worst sun in the late afternoon and the evening. So that side of my house, and that's where the kitchen is, and that's where the kitchen nook is. And you know, I think I have slate 20 on that side, but on the east side, I have lighter VLTs.
Yeah.
And you know, it works for Michigan. Yeah. But one time I redid some windows, and the family doesn't realize how much more comfortable it is till you don't have that in that kitchen nook. They're like, man, is it bright? Why is it so hot in here? I go, well, give me a break. I'm getting to it. I just removed the old stuff. I'm working on it. And they go, I said, but you notice it's working, right? And they go, oh, yeah, you kind of get used to it being there. You know, and I said, yeah, absolutely. It's doing its job, right?
Yeah. I finally did my little kitchen nook area that my wife was hounding me about forever. Those were like the newer windows that got replaced, and I at one point set up to do them because I was going to do like a little photo shoot of showing different films on it, and then it just never got finished. So recently I put slate 30 on them.
Tinder
and
problems.
What's crazy is I recognized immediately, like the next day I walked into the kitchen and I was like, this made a giant difference. And my wife's like, yeah. I was like, I know this stuff works. I sell it every day. I install it every day. But like feeling the difference in your own house,
it
it was
always the thing,
yeah.
right? The plumber's pipes leak.
It was like, man, I really slipped up on not doing this a long time ago.
The tinner's house has never got all film on the windows, right?
Yeah.
It's just your life gets in the way and your business and everything else. You know, there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, like the one day I have at home is like, that's the last thing I want to do.
That's your chill day, and you just don't want to be putting up film.
Oh, like my house is only tinted because I literally burned a vacation day after I signed and got the keys. So I could do it with nothing in my house. My shutters
That's key.
And the shutters were going
beautiful
up
thing.
like the next week on like the Monday. So I was like, if I don't do this now, it might not get done because I mean, I don't want to do it on my off time, but it needs to get done. Let alone I really don't want to work around shutters when it comes down to it. Like obviously we do every single day, but if you give me the option of workaround shutters or no shutters, I'm gonna make sure I'm tinting my house without the shutters. Go a lot faster for me. So
That same when I moved into our house, I did it all before a lick of furniture went. lick of drapes, curtains,
That-
anything.
I'm
It
not-
just made it so much easier.
I'm not a big fan of like sales or promotions, but that might be a fun one to do. Like, hey, get us to install your film before you move in, and you put any window coverings in, and we'll give you a discount.
Exactly,
That might be a
exactly.
fun one because
Move
that
in.
would save us enough time to be
Pre-move-in
worth the
special,
discount.
right?
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that shaves at least, say a full house with shutters. That's gonna shave 2 hours or more.
I was going to say you're going to save it in labor
Yeah,
easily.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
frustration.
Yeah,
Well, the
and then it's
frustration's the
convenient
biggest
for the
thing.
customer too. So
Absolutely.
if you're moving into your home, we're gonna have a promo that you're gonna be able to click the link below for a discount if you get us to tint your home before you put your shutters, your blinds, or any furniture in the home. All right, we're gonna clip that.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. That one, they're going to do something with that one. That's a great one.
Oh no, most customers too will ask, "Do you need us to do anything?" And we usually respond like, "No, just knickknacks, anything expensive,
Yeah.
anything of extreme value, either money or value to you personally. Move that out of the way. If it's furniture and stuff like that, our guys will move it. Blinds and stuff, our guys will usually we'll take them down. We don't request our customers to do that. But I tell you what, it is a very big treat. At least when I was an installer, it was a big treat. Whenever I'd show up to the house and like you have the husband who stayed home from work and has literally moved everything out of your
That's
way.
me. That's me.
Those are the best.
Pulled the blinds down, so it's like I don't even have to worry about putting these back up again. And it's like
I'll offer to do that, and they'll always be like, "No, I got it." But yeah, those are the best. Those happen pretty frequently too.
Well, and if, you know, I recognize the work that goes into fixing something in your house, because if you do a lot of your home maintenance yourself, you know how hard it can be. So when we have, whether it's the furnace being repaired or the hot tub being fixed, I'll do all the prep. You know, I'll move everything out of the way, pull the panel off so he has access, make sure you can get in, and it just makes your job that much easier. Plus, you know, it's cool.
We've got one that we're doing that we're gonna be back on again. That's like a giant house in one of the nice communities out here that has like a property manager. That's who we talk to. And every time we've been out there, he's like had everything completely ready for us. The last time we were out there, I took pictures, measured everything. There were these weird extra wooden ledges for the drop-down blinds that were really tight to the windows. So I took pictures of it, measured it tight, and even had our guys cut it super tight to be able to fit in there. We show up to do the install. He completely removed all of it out of the way, and it was just like, oh, dude, you didn't need to do that, but thank you so much.
Because I'm sure you've had the complete
Oh, yeah,
opposite.
yeah.
Where you guys
Yeah.
have walked in and went, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. You open the blinds and you go to clean the window, and you're like, it's never been wiped before. And then the funny
That's
part
pretty
is
common, though. Like, I'm so used to seeing
that's
that
the
now.
funniest
That's
thing.
pretty common.
When you go over the maintenance, you're like, all right, it's gonna take 30 to 90 days to dry. You go through your whole thing, and you let them know, like, hey, don't clean the windows for the first 30 days, and they look at you like, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
That's a joke.
You
First
just
3 years?
You
Okay,
just
perfect.
yeah,
That
you
works for
just
me.
cleaned my windows for the first time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll
And it's
joke
like,
with customers when I'm on a sale, like, and you can't clean them for 30 days after we're done, so don't think you're getting up on a ladder and cleaning. They're just like, yeah,
You can clean your
that's
windows?
that's not gonna happen.
no, definitely not.
Actually, the meter conversation. While we were talking about that, something that like really stuck to me is why our partnership with Solar Gard has been so like special to us. Like, we would have never started doing that if it wasn't going for the panorama meetings.
Oh, absolutely.
And the education we got from those over the years was like invaluable to us. So as far as mentors go, that's why we've worked with you guys so long, because we
struggle with
have
that. Do we keep doing that type of workshop? Because we go, okay, we've presented this material
it's
2 or
helped
3
us.
times, but every time we do it, someone goes, oh gosh, I didn't do that right. And then if that one person, learns something from it, it's got value.
It's massively helped us get where we are for sure. Like, we definitely weren't checking glass
Yeah.
Like I
and
said,
for
we
the
were only-
longest time.
Yeah, we
And
were only
now that
selling
we
products.
are, it definitely helps close the sale. It definitely helps choose the right product for the end consumer, which gives them a better experience, which then turns them into someone that refers another person, which allows us to sell more film. Might not be something you guys see immediately, but it's definitely played a role into our growth over the last couple of years. So
Oh yeah, no. We saw the meters forever. We always pushed my dad for it, and he was definitely obviously that old school mentality. Like, this is how much it costs, and kind of stick to what we knew, and just stayed that course, and then as soon as we had the ability to, unfortunately, when he was out of the picture, I think it was probably the first panorama meeting that I went to right after his stroke. I think we got the glass check probably was because it was in Florida. That was
in St. Pete, right?
Yep, it was in St. Pete. Yep. I got in which I just went ahead and did it. I just knew I was going to get a phone call at some point that day after it hit the credit card. It was the Glass Check Pro. We got a VLT meter for auto, which extremely useful for auto because if you're trying to match something up, you got
Absolutely.
one-off windows, anything like that.
Instead of I think it's
Looks
20.
about right. Yeah, exactly.
The BTU meter,
Yeah.
which I didn't even really think about using it in this way until just recently, and I feel like an idiot for not thinking about it. Like when you have the person who comes in who's already got the carton from the manufacturer, like, is it ceramic? It's like, I really can't test that. Well, let me just go put your car out in the sun real quick and see how it's still saying 500? Yeah, this is dye film. This isn't doing anything for you. This should be in like 10. 11. This should be down. If this is actually true ceramic, this should be much, much lower. So now we can actually tell our customer with confidence, like, no, that's not ceramic. Instead of just telling them, like, most likely it's not ceramic because dealerships aren't known to put ceramic on vehicles. It just usually doesn't happen. So having that meter and then also the tempered glass meter, which for the most part, almost
That's
all.
a big one, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
just to double check when it comes
the
down
green
to
light
it.
means go meter. I mean, you get tempered glass, or yes, yay, dude, let's go.
Yeah,
What would you like on there?
Exactly.
You know?
And then also when it comes to security film, knowing that you got it, if it is tempered, like you need to get an attachment system on there. You need to anchor it down somewhere, and like that's not an option. That's still something we get, which I'm assuming you probably still hear that we've bidded against a couple jobs where like customers went back, like sent us the proposals back, and it's like two of the proposals, it's like, well, you guys have the silicone on there, like these people are here saying it's optional. I'm like,
Ours
says it's optional.
Required attachment system. Like we're not doing it without
What's this
it.
extra charge here? It's like, well, that's going to.
That's for doing it right.
Yeah, that's going to keep the glass in place. Right. Like, you have to have it on there. Like when it comes down to it, like we were at first where we would do it, and if the customer's like, no, I don't want to do that, but now it's kind of almost migrated to the point where like, if you don't do that, we're not going to do it,
right?
Because it's just you're wasting your money, and we won't be the company that's just going to sit there and say, okay, we'll put it on, because all we're doing is making it, in my eyes, easier. Because now when that glass does break, it's just going to fall straight in.
Yeah.
If anything, you have
it's like a carpet now.
Yeah,
it's welcome mat.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Less of a mess to clean up, I guess.
Yeah,
so
it's safer for the burglar to come in and whoever, 'cause it's all covered, it's all held together. I don't even cut my foot.
Yeah, now you're not going to get sued by the person robbing
you.
Yeah.
But Josh, you made the comment about the meters, and yeah, we're not in the business at Solar Gard to sell meters and make money, make a meter. It's really not why.
Oh yeah.
We just want, because the worst feeling for us is having to deny a claim because the wrong film was put on the glass.
Yeah, now it's a stain on you guys that your dealer did that.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
The dealer, us, the relationship, the customer, nobody wins in that situation. No. So if, $1,500, $2,000 for the right tools and meters, that's a win-win for everybody. It really is.
Oh yeah, and you guys I've never went to a panorama meeting and felt like I'm being pressured into a glass meter. It's always been like, you want to step your game up or you want to go further. And if you look at the guys that are like dominating in our industry, like they've already been using them. So like it's shown like this is what it can do for you. It's like there's no need for you guys to press it when it's just like, we just need this tool right here is going to help you educate your customer. And it technically educate yourself too. So you actually are putting on, like you said, the proper film, because you put the wrong film on the wrong glass. Now you have broken glass. And now you have a claim that's
never
like, well,
assume,
you should
right?
never put that on there when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I've had the same experience. I mean, I went to tint my future daughter-in-law's condo last year. I assumed I knew where the low E coating was. And then I said, I should probably go home and get the meter. I was wrong. What a big problem. I would have been really popular with my son's future wife when all our windows are busted.
It's our fifth window that's broken.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. It's my son's fault.
Well,
so just checking the glass, and I'm going to have to go with a different film. I have to go through a slate, just one a little lighter, and I was good to go. But man, if I would have put on what I was going to put on, That would have been an issue for that client, you know, going to spring to summer or winter to fall, that big temperature change time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been good.
Well, that's the other really cool piece is not only have you guys given us the education on knowing that we need the meter, but like Ricky was saying earlier, like if he's got a question and he comes across a window that he's not sure about, like Miguel is always responsive. He's been responding to me recently because I've been reaching out to him, and he's helped me out on a couple of jobs recently that I just want to verify. This is what I think it is. And he said, yeah.
Please do that
you're right.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I always do.
It's
Text,
great to
the
have
call,
that
the
tool
email.
available is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beyond the fact of like, that's probably one of the things I absolutely love about us, the partnership that we have with you guys. That's always kept us extremely happy, and you guys have always taken care of us. Is the fact that usually it's like, oh, I have to reach out to my rep. Like I gotta only reach out to Nick. No, I reach out to Nick whenever I do have a question. But at the same time, I have the capability to reach out to Scott down in Arizona. Now
Anyone on the team.
Mike. Down in Florida, Scott down in Florida. Now that I got to meet
Scotty
him,
Dre.
I got to meet him at Tinder Battles. The same thing, like being able to have that kind of backing and that support.
Right.
You can't put a price on it in my eyes. Like I just don't have Nick in my corner. I have all you guys. Like I know I've reached out to you before. Yeah. I mean, shit, I've reached out to Steve before, in which that usually doesn't happen because in my mind, I don't go. I go to the person where I know I can get an answer. Where it's like, I already know how much you're probably dealing with in your day. I'm not gonna bug you. But at the same time, I know that it's always open and welcome. No, don't hesitate. Let us know any question you have anytime, and it doesn't matter who you contact. Every person responds instantly.
We have so much. We just talked about, I have a team call once a month, and we were just talking about the level of experience on our team, because we're bringing on a new guy who's gonna have experience, by the way. And I may not know the answer, but I know someone that does.
Yep.
John Nicholas might not know the answer, but Mike might know, or Scott. I mean, it's just it's a camaraderie, and it's not one territory manager is responsible for your account, but we're all here to support your account.
Yep.
And if anybody says that different, they won't be a part of the team. You know, so.
No, that's one thing I would say Solar Gard's always done really well, and that's one thing Steve pointed out. I didn't realize technically how long I'd known Steve, how long I've known you, Nick, Miguel.
It's like a family.
I mean, the list goes on and on. Lindsay. I mean, the list goes on and on. And he was like, yeah, I started in 07. I'm like, damn, it's almost been 20 years. And it's like 07's right when I started getting heavily involved in the company, where I just graduated high school. I was now a main installer. And like, I think 07 was the first Panorama meeting I went to. It was down in San Diego.
San Diego, yeah.
We golfed at Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I did not understand that. Like, I went to that event because it's like I get to go golfing, I get to not drink and eat all weekend.
What?
Go to have a fun time because you guys have always provided like that. It's like, all right, it's like getting all the main Panorama dealers together, having a good time, but also sharing that collective information.
The most important thing in those meetings.
If anything, that meeting probably actually cultivated me to understand the fact of how important it is just to grow that network.
Yeah.
And just talk to the other dealers, share, exchange knowledge, like the small little tidbits of information, the small things. Just like if I'm installing something and an installer sees me do something so simple, which to me it's like second nature, and they're like, hold on, what's that? The same thing when it comes to either explaining a film or explaining a window, to where it's like sitting in those conferences and listening to the one or two person talk, and it's like, hold on, what did he just say? And then later on, go and find that person, like, hold on, explain that to me a little bit better. And even if it's a way to present a film or solve a problem when it comes down to it, because like you said, we're solving problems. Like when it comes down to it, that's like the first question I ask when I walk into a customer's home. What do you like? What's your like? What issue are we trying to solve here? Right. Yeah, because I have an entire pamphlet of, I can throw 6, 7 different films at you that you're gonna look at and go, but like, what's the core problem?
You don't want to overwhelm them. You don't want to confuse them.
Well, that's the main thing too. Like as soon as I get that information, I put the glass check on there. It's like I put a product in front of them, like just this one. Like, to solve the problem that you are asking me to solve, and with what glass you have, this is your best option. Like anything else is not going to perform anywhere near where it needs to be, or it's not going to do what it needs to solve your problem. So I don't feel comfortable selling it to you. I just don't. And it's like, this is what is going to solve your problem. Yes, you might lose some light or whatever it may be, but like, this is what's going to solve this problem to the best of its abilities.
It's funny, we talk about the meetings and the panorama meetings, and even see them. Anytime we get together as a group, right? People always ask me, so what's this panorama thing about? I said, well, you're going to hear from us. We're going to tell you some stuff you may or may not know. But I said, that's really not the most important thing about going to this meeting. And I go, what? And I go, it's the interaction with the other dealers. I said, that's the biggest, if that's the one thing you really got to focus on. Don't hold yourself off in a corner during the presentations or not come to the different events. That's the most important thing. You can listen to Solar Gard, and we're going to talk about our stuff, and we're a window film manufacturer. But the really important part is you take something away from somebody that's in the business with you, especially when you see the new panorama dealers or that may have, because what we're seeing now is we're seeing people come in that just have business experience and went, oh, this window film thing looks pretty profitable. I kind of retired, but I'm too young to just stop. I want to take what I learned at my other job and apply it here. And that's the folks that learn a lot from you guys, because you grew up in the industry. It's almost the opposite, right?
Yeah.
So share those two experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Those are usually the people I'm migrating towards the most when it comes to a meeting like that. Like for me, this later part of my career and where we're at now, like whenever I'm at those meetings, I'm usually gravitated towards either Steve, Jared. Like I'm gravitating towards the guys that are landing these giant jobs and just the logistics of going after those jobs, how are you getting those jobs done, and all that. Those are the guys I'm gravitating towards. And then also, yes, the guys that are coming in that are just have the business experience, but they don't know the industry. It's like, well, I got the industries. I don't say I don't have it covered. I have a good grasp on our industry.
Right.
But the business side, that is something that's where we're growing right now, is on the business side. Like we are taking ourselves out of just being installers, and now we actually got to start running our business when it comes down to it.
That's what I saw from some of the folks that have come from outside the industry and especially corporate world, super structured. Everything's got a system, a place, a structure, and they take that knowledge and they apply it to this business that they just got into. And they probably purchased somebody else's that wasn't organized.
Most likely.
And they've turned it around
Yeah,
and
there's-
probably doubled the profitability of the business.
We're not even organized. We're compared to now. It's all relative when it comes down to if we're going to compare ourselves to how many years ago, like compared to like 3 or 4 years ago. Yes, we are extremely more organized.
You would say you're night and day,
oh,
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then that is something where when it comes down to it, it's you can't go after that short-term gratification of thinking like you have to see a result right now. Like no, you have to sit there and put the work in day by day, and you might not see it right away, but you look back the past 2 years, like when we started doing this. I mean, it's almost been. I think about it, we're almost coming up on a year of doing this, and like from where we started to begin with to where we're at now. It's like I go back and I've done it once or twice, listen to the first couple episodes, just listen to myself talk in the first couple episodes. Like, I sound like an idiot. And it's just like you just got to get comfortable. It's something new, something different.
Comfortable in your new skin.
Yeah. And it just come to realize that it's sitting down having a conversation just like we were last night.
Yeah.
And
we've known each other. You were talking about how long you've known everybody. I mean, our conversations, myself included, 10 years ago are completely different. Because the industry's changed, the world's changed, COVID changed a lot on how everybody does business, right? Yep. So we all learn from that, and if you don't adapt, you die.
Yep.
And you have to do things differently.
What's cool is once you realize that okay, cool, that's just how it's always going to be. Like there's always going to be a next level. There's always going to be a next level you get to where you plateau and you got to learn new lessons and find new mentors and figure out what's the next step. And that's not going to really stop.
No, change is constant.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, like with AI and everything else, like
so quickly.
Yeah,
right?
The ability to create organic content that you can get in front of people and get millions and millions of views, and get interaction and engagement, and then get feedback from those people when you're showing up to do jobs for them. It's like, oh, that's crazy. And we're not getting millions and millions of views, to be clear. Like we're getting. You know,
Carlos got millions and millions of views.
Yeah, but it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah,
and
I just
even thousands of views.
Yeah, but
thousands.
Maybe the ones you're getting are the right views.
Yeah, hundreds to thousands of quality views.
Quality over
like
quantity.
They're actually people that are here local, maybe not even locally, people in the industry all over the place, but the local customers that are seeing the content have shocked me. Like people that are telling me that they've listened to the podcast and like. That's the only reason they thought of film to protect their furniture and their drapes from fading. Was they didn't even know that was a thing, and it's like, okay. And we're getting, you know, thousands to maybe tens of thousands of views on like an Instagram post or something sometimes, and it's like that is valuable to a small business.
That's still 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Like the problem is that people will see that and be like, oh, it hasn't gone viral. Like, who cares? Put the content out. If you know that you are educating or trying to make put out product awareness of something, if you got 1,200 views on it, that's 1,200 people that you just technically educated.
Yeah.
That could have made an impact. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh my God, it didn't break tens of thousands. It's not in the hundreds of thousands. Like, it's the long play.
And a
Keep
year
putting
from now,
Yeah.
you'll be even more advanced
Yeah.
than you are now. You'll
Somebody's new
you'll
to
look back a
town.
year and go, wow, that was kind of like Mickey Mouse to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Because you guys already in your minds and the way you're talking and your plans, you have a vision for what you want to do next.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it'll go another level next year too.
Yeah, for sure. What's crazy is like you think that long-term strategy is somebody new to town. I think it was talked about at dinner last night. Somebody moves new to town, and all of a sudden they come across our window tint content, and they decide to follow along, and they're engaged. Something strikes their interest, and now when they do need window tint, or they have some sun coming through when it goes from winter to summer into their kitchen, and now all of a sudden, what's top of mind to them? It's us.
Where did I see? What was that?
Yeah.
That feed I saw.
Yeah.
That company I saw yesterday.
And then you go and you take care of that person. You give them a really good experience, a really good product. You solve their problem. Now they become a marketing tool because they're going to go refer their neighbors and their friends.
Absolutely.
Or just the van being parked out front. We had 2 leads yesterday that came in as people calling because they saw our van in their neighborhood and they were interested.
Yeah.
They didn't talk to the neighbor that we were doing the work for. They didn't even talk to the installer or myself. If it was me where I was at, they saw the van, called in, and now they have a consultation scheduled. So it's like all of those little.
And they may not even talk to their neighbor about it.
Yeah.
You know.
You slowly just start making those incremental changes, and it will all pay off, you know, when it comes down to it. But it's always, to think that it's not always going to be a grind. In my mind, you're crazy. Like it's always, you got to stick to it, put the work in, put the time in. You know, don't look for the short-term gratification when it comes down to it, and it is going to pay off. Like that's definitely something I've now come to realize in many aspects of life for me.
Sure.
When it comes down to it. And for the most part, I'm pretty certain my parents have been telling us that our entire lives. It's just
They've
Well,
installed it. You
and
just
they
didn't know
showed it,
They just
too.
didn't
Yeah.
know it.
Well,
They showed
Now
it
it's
for
all-
sure.
Oh, and
now
that-
it's
no-
all making sense, right?
Well, and they 100% said it, and it's just when you're younger, and I'm still, in my mind, I know nothing. It still is something where at the time you're like, eh, and then now it's like you start like, you know, I'm starting to get a little older, and I'm looking back, I'm like, shit, I wish I would have listened.
Oh,
Damn it.
yeah.
boy, that stuff makes a lot of sense now.
Well, a famous
could've
Dana
been-
White clip from recently is like young people right now, like if the perception is that young people are soft, but if you are the person who realizes these things young, you're gonna be a savage. Like
you're going to be ahead of the game.
like the kid
for
from
sure.
I was
Tennessee.
say the kid from
Yeah.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
he's 21,
like-
he's about to open his
Nate from
second store.
Tennessee
He's
is
dominating.
gonna kill it.
Yeah,
He's going to kill it.
If you do realize like, hey, okay, I've got plenty of time ahead of me. This is like a Gary Vee-ism. Like especially if you're under 20, like you got infinite amount of time.
I mean, the fact that he stepped out of his comfort zone. Well, I mean, I'm going to say stepped out of comfort zone, but like drove down to Tinner battles. Like how it was promoted and stuff. Like you're not sure what it is, and then you get there, and then like that was probably like the perfect competition for him to go to because he got just surrounded by installers and business owners, and that is such a heavy installer type of competition to where it's like the knowledge probably gained from that. Like we didn't necessarily have those kind of competitions growing up. I mean, we got blessed with the fact that we grew up in the industry and we were able to go. Thankfully, we had panorama meetings. Like in my eyes, that was the blessing for us is that we got to see the power of the networking and talking to the other dealers within Panorama because we all had our own we all have our own territories, usually in different states for the most part, and we all come together knowing like, hey, we're all selling the same product, but we're all looking to grow this business. So it made it easier for that. Now it's gotten to the point where it's like, I don't even care if you're selling film in my city. Like, especially for us in Vegas, we have such a heavily dense
Yeah, look at the
area
population
for
growth
for
and
flat glass and cars. Like
the building that's going on.
Yeah.
we all could be booked out for an entire year, and we're not going to dent
You're still
the
not
amount
gonna
of glass.
touch it. You're
Not going
not.
to dent it.
Yeah.
Like that was a big, I'd say, come to Jesus moment for me, in the fact that I've stopped worrying about my competitor. Like when I was younger, I 100%. If I would say